Yeah.
Check 1, 2.
So your headphones, I unfortunately have to control your headphones for you. So if you want to, here. Unfortunately, I'm controlling your headphones. So if you want to let me know if you're up or if you want it up or down.
Up.
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 Okay.
Up. Up.
Once you look at those,
Oh, is that should be you?
If you needed them for this, I didn't want
That's good.
Is that good?
Yep, that's
Okay.
good.
And then same thing with you. If you want to like tell me I have to unfortunately control your headphone volume. So is this okay? Do you want it higher, lower? Okay.
Scotty Lama texted me and said to say hey.
Llama. Dylan, cheers. How was...
Scotty Lama.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
All right. That seems good.
Hockeytown celebrated 3 championships in 7 years, and rarely has someone so tough played so pivotal a part.
McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A magnificent goal! Darren McCarty! Look at that play. Lariana. Shanahan. There it is. He scores! The Red Wings have defeated Colorado. Darren McCarty. Here's a break at center. McCarty. Off ball. McCarty. Scores! Darren McCarty! Here's Volpe and McCarty in. McCarty scores!
I love you, but you're a mess.
I am a mess. I'm a work in progress, I guess you could say. Screw you, Tom. This work in progress is on episode 44. That's for you, Big Bert. Yes, it is October 16th, Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m., and this is Grind Time with Darren McCarty. Yes, I am your host, Darren McCarty. Happy to be here, joined by my co-host, Perry Vellucci. Perry, how are you?
Doing good, Mac.
On the ones and twos, Mr. Eric Big Easus Fady filling in for Michael McCool tonight. How are you, Easus?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for always, you're such a team player. I appreciate everything you do for Grind Time with Darren McCarty. Obviously, Big E on loan from the Radio for One Studios roster, and that, of course, the Detroit cast hosted by the one and only Mike Walters and Jay Beta O'Boger. Sunday to Thursday, you can catch them, obviously, here. Anywhere else. And a shout-out to my boy, J. Chris Newberg. Heroin has a new publicist, one of the funniest comedy podcasts, and our buddy J.R. Adams. J.R. Adams Stunts was just on episode 104, I believe. Don't quote me on it, but he was just
Right around
on
that
because
number,
he was
yes.
right out there. Whatever. It's all going. So big night tonight. In about 15 minutes or so, I'm going to be joined on the phone by my friend of the program, T.J. Lang. Talk a little bit Lions and might as well have a guy in the trenches on both halves to see what he has to say, being an offensive lineman. So, but for most of the program, and then later on, we're going to continue with our Letterkenny theme. We have Tyler Johnson, who plays Stuart, the head of the Skids from Letterkenny. So that's going to be fun. Obviously, that'll be at 8:15. But before that, I am proud and happy to be joined in studio by the Invisible Men, I call them, in the Red Wing organization. And these are the guys who you wouldn't think would be invisible because they carry these cameras around. I'm talking about the one and only Mark Hicks, who shot the famous March 26, 1997 Sweet Revenge photo that lives in infamy, and I continue to sign hundreds of thousands of them. So thank you, Hicksy.
You're welcome.
And not alone, but we'll get into it, but you're a great friend of my family's, the McCarty Cancer Foundation, when that was all going on back in the 90s. Couldn't have helped raise as much money as we did without your support. So you've been a friend for a long time, and I appreciate you being in here. And then, you passed it along. I know that when you were there, Hicksy, from what years?
About 84 to 02.
To 02, and then there was somebody in there that I was still there, and I didn't even know. But then Dave came along, Dave Bregnick, who's the photographer till now. And if you can see, I travel around the comedy show. Big Boogie's got this 2008 on tour with the Red Wing and Stanley. Dave, this is your great, beautiful artwork, but continue to this day. So thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So Dave, a couple things. So how does a guy retire from sheet metal, right?
Yep.
Not just like you're dibble dabbling. You 36 years or so.
37, yeah.
37 years. HVAC systems, for anybody who cares, coordinated build and helped install HVAC systems for commercial buildings in Michigan. How do you transition that into getting a job for the Red Wings in photography? Was this a hobby that's gone good?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Well, I've been taking pictures since I was 11 years old, so it's always been something that's been fun, never realized that or ever dreamed I would be able to make $1 at it, but I was fortunate enough to get to work with my friend Mark over here, and he was a big inspiration. While I was growing up learning the trade, when my kids were younger, it was kind of hard, you had to put bread on the table to feed the family and stuff, so buying a roll of film and getting it developed kind of got pushed on the back there for a few years. But as I got older and made a few more bucks, I started buying better cameras, and I coached hockey for a long time too. So kind of between playing, coaching, and taking pictures, which is kind of something I did for a long time, and just right spot at the right time, I ended up getting a job for the Red Wings. But it was obviously after Mark had already gone and was moved on to some other things. But I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the experience I had from Mark.
Well, let's go back to.
Wow, thank you.
Let's go there. That's awesome.
I'm not sure I'm worthy, but
Well, but let's go back to Hicksy. How did you get your start, and what brought you to, to eventually the Red Wings organization
my
taking
story's
pictures?
probably a little stranger than most, but I can fast forward the first 40 years. Born and raised in Saginaw, used to race motocross quite a bit, and I wasn't that good at it, so I'm all busted up. I got metal hips, and the legs were bad, so I started going to the races, taking pictures as a way to get in a race for free because it was real expensive.
No,
to get in the races.
that's a great way
And
for
then,
rock and roll, for
yeah.
rock too. Is that any rock band is looking for a photographer or stuff like that? That's
Sent a bunch of
quick way to
pictures
get it.
out, and they made it in the magazines, and people started calling, and one thing led to another. I was living in Memphis, Tennessee, where I took the big dirt sample down there and just about bought the farm. So moved back to Michigan and actually got a job with CompuWare. I was a 24th employee to go to work for CompuWare, and that's Pete Carmanis,
Yeah.
future Hockey Hall of Famer.
Carolina
and,
Hurricanes
So he
owner.
came walking into my cube one day and said, "I understand you take pictures." I said, "I do." He said, "I got this guy, Pat LaFontaine, that's playing for us. He's going to be a big star. Why don't you go take his picture?" So that's kind of how I got started in the hockey. And then
So
I
you
met-
started in, would you say, so you got into photography out of not being able to race, and sort of you found this sort of niche that, to fill a void where, Dave, you came from it more of your passion as a sort of a little kid. Can you explain to people out there, because, the one thing that when I interview everybody or when I ask questions, the constant for no matter what to successful people is hard work. So where does that, like the sacrifice or the hard work, and because you're dealing with where you both started and you mentioned roll of film and developing. Can you explain to my millennial crowd out there what a roll of film is?
Well, Mark's got more experience with the film part than I do.
But that's a huge, like, let's talk
That was
about
a
that. 'Cause
significant change in the industry. I
So,
mean,
so when you started, right? Like, so you would take and so bring us back and take us back how the evolution of, say, when you started shooting Red Wing games at Joe Louis Arena. I'm assuming it was sort of you had the telephoto in the corner in one of those holes, and right,
Right.
and then and you're taking them and you're trying not to get guys who shoot pucks at you and break your camera and stuff like that.
well, we use lights. Like if you have a flash on your camera, we put flashes in the building. They annoy some people, but every time you take a picture, the whole building flashes. So in the old days, you had film in all your cameras. So you'd take 4 or 5 cameras, put a roll of film in every one, and then if something happened, like a big fight on March 26th of a certain year, we would you'd take camera A and just motor through those pictures, boom, camera B, camera C, and you'd have somebody sitting behind you pumping new rolls of film into your camera because you'd be running out of bullets, basically.
So you're just you're shooting like a automatic rifle.
Well,
you just try like just trying to get we'll get to the March 26th, but
Right.
like how do you're just going by instinct more, and is it more like
no,
like
you get a list of what you need to shoot ahead of time, like I did anyway. The opposing team would come in, I'd go meet with their PR guy, and they'd say, this guy's going to be in his 100th game, here's a kid that's going to get his first assist, here's somebody shooting for a 500th point. So you'd have that hit list, and then if that happened during the game, you'd hope to get it for that team, and then go in the locker room and get a quick, grip and grin handshake picture with the puck. Pretty standard, like Hall of Fame. You guys put tape and write 600 on it, on the puck.
yeah, but those are cool though.
Oh,
They
well,
are.
that's fun.
Easy shooting.
No, I mean so mention who of
Or like Stevie's 500 and 600. Remember, Stevie was going to
Yeah.
get his 500, then they played that game in Cleveland, So everybody drove to Cleveland. We got about 18 inches of snow. The ice was like skating on mashed potatoes. Everybody was pissed. Stevie got a goal, and then they took it away from him at the end of the game and said, no, it was somebody else's goal. So everybody was writing the story, the big story, and we all drove home. Got home at like 5 in the morning the next day. But you do that. Stevie's 600s was a big one. Brett Hall scored, Lemieux, I think, in his early days, scored his 50th goal in 46 games or something, and that happened here.
at Joe Louis.
Yeah,
I know
Mario
Gretzky's
Lemieux.
77th or 76th goal to tie Esposito was at Joe Louis.
Yeah,
Arena.
Gretz, I got called in the locker room to do some Gretz stuff, and so that's, you're just shaking. I'm just a boy amongst men in there. They're like, oh, take this picture with Wayne and, the team or all the Russians or something. You're like,
So it's still like that, or do you because you develop obviously longer being around, and when you're dealing on a day to day, or guys that because when they realize who the photographer is, who's taking these photos, and you get sort of known. That's sort of a double-edged sword, though, isn't it?
Well, for me, I'm one of one, so there's nowhere to go for advice. And everybody that's in the Illich family phone book, the directory for
Yeah.
Olympia Entertainment, is kind of your boss. You work for season ticket sales and suite services and concessions. So everybody's chipping away at you, and you're trying to make them all happy. Somebody's, I need a picture of this. I need this. In the second period, Kid Rock's going to stop in Mr. I's suite. You got to run up and get that shot and get it down.
So that's the thing people don't realize is that, and how much is, like you said, scripted, and how often does it go off script?
Well, like the big games against original 6 teams, we pretty much I shot all game action, and they would lay off me for all the grip and grin and sweet stuff, and Chuck E. Cheese. Oops, wrong one. No, that's the right guy, right? They'd have mascots that would go to the suite. Sometimes you'd
Oh, yeah,
follow
yeah.
the mascots around and take pictures.
Yeah. Was there any things that you loved to cover back in the day, or like maybe some obviously I'm thinking this might be your most famous photo, but was there any that you got?
Probably for me, the most fun was about halfway into my second year. The glass at the Joe used to be short on the sides, and we could shoot over it, and the photographer shot out of the penalty box. So the glass is real short out of the penalty box, like 14 inches, so we could put a camera right over it. Well, somebody got dinged somewhere, sued the NHL, won, so they put the glass up high and threw all the photographers out of the penalty boxes. So I talked to Scotty and Al Sabaka, and what we did is we cut off the end of the visitor bench and made a little spot right in the middle of the 2 benches for a photographer to sit. So
Yeah,
that kept our bench full length, shorted their bench 22 inches.
Yeah, that's a good old Scotty thing, and then that's where
Scotty was
that's
laughing.
where
He's
the
like, "That's okay.
TV guys will end up.
Cut more of it off." He wanted that bench shorter.
No, absolutely.
So, but that was a great spot to sit because you're inside the glass. You got to really respect the game. You got all the dynamics, big games. You know, you're sitting on my left
I'm
shoulder.
always on your, like, because I'm
I got-
always in that corner.
I got
right
somebody in
there.
the right shoulder, you know, and those two guys are chirping, and I'm invisible, and they're spitting on each other and throwing water bottles and laughing and joking.
That's explain that, Hicksy, because back at Joe Louis and where you would be right there, and it's as if, like, if it was anybody else, even a TV announcer, which they're there usually now,
Right.
You know, like guys you see, like sort of they're aware. You guys are invisible. You know what I mean? It's like you're not even there, and you're sitting
Right.
there just taking pictures and stuff.
I used to go in there and take about 5 cameras and load them all with film, and then about 4 of them were all wide-angle lenses. Because if there's a fight going on, like the Bowman-Mark Crawford confrontation, there was 3 of us in that phone booth. And you'll see those 2 guys are going at it, and occasionally you'll see my hand pop up right between the 2 of them and take a picture of one of their faces. And they're pushing the camera out of the way so they can keep arguing.
Now, did you get? Is it like talk about that?
I took a great picture of Mark Crawford, mouth open. You could see all the dental work. He's raging out, man. Spit's coming out of his mouth. The veins are bulging. So I made a couple 8x10s and a 16x20 next time he come into town. He said, that's hilarious. He wanted one for his dentist.
Oh, I love it.
So his autograph was, Mark, nice shot, open mouth insert. Oh, shit.
How about you, Dave? Like, is there somewhere, like, you know that the shot's gonna be there, or like, I mean.
Well, I don't know if you've ever really know if anything you get the shot. Well, with digital world, yeah. Like when Mark took that picture of you and called him you, he was shooting film, right, Mark?
Yeah, yeah.
So he thinks he got it, but until you get the roll back, you don't know. So there's always that apprehension with me with the digital world. And when I hired in, I was already all digital. I wasn't dealing with the film thing like those guys did, which was way harder. I don't know how they did it. I mean, didn't there used to be a dark room at the
Dark room in all the rinks, and we had runners, like in between every period. Or if there's a big fight, we'd have the runner go around and put new film in all 11 cameras.
right?
So, like, the difference
way different.
is how long would you, like, so when this happened, the March 26th thing happened, to before you saw this picture, like, how, like, you could see it on your camera, but you had to
No,
get the
I
mount?
couldn't see it. It was
You
film.
can't, because there's
No,
no,
there's
So it was different for me, but you know, when you're taking pictures, you snap it. Sometimes you get caught up either watching the action and not paying attention to what you should be shooting, like I did when I first started. I was more of kind of a fan, like, oh, come on, pass the puck. Oh, shoot, take a picture. But like shooting between the benches, I don't know if I'm sure you got hit. I mean, I got sewn up. I got hit with a puck. I've been knocked out. Had a stick come through my hole. KO'd. So, yeah, it's you got to be on guard when you're down there that close to the action. But that little spot between the benches that those guys created long before I got there was literally about elbow to elbow.
Oh, it's small.
I mean, so when you turned, you had to like almost twist your shoulders around to get that shot. I remember I was shooting a game and it was who's the number 16? It was New York that was doing that thing in front of
Avery.
Avery. So he was with LA at the time, and he would always sit at that end of the bench, right between me and he would sit there. He would never sit down. He'd sit there and just chirp at the other. So it was entertaining. Like he said, you always keep a wide lens handy. I would just grab it and just kind of point it at him, just pop, hit a couple, and you see him, the facial expression, pointing fingers.
Right.
So during a line change, was Avery and Homer they bumped it purposely. He gets
Right.
in Homer's way. That goes. They're making a line change. So Avery starts barking at the ref, hey, give him 2 minutes. His breath is the worst breath in the NHL. And Homer just gave him that look. Is that all you got?
Right.
So you get to see that kind of stuff. I remember Derek Bugard. That guy was a monster.
He's huge.
He was like 6'5", 7, just and about
Whatever.
almost 300 pounds.
Yeah,
I mean, the
about
guy was
280.
a monster. I mean, I remember here talking about eating their kids, and
Yeah.
I mean, he was just scary.
And he looks scary.
He was scary. It was scary. So
Eating your kids.
I got a picture of him while he's trying
Even
to
back
eat
in
their
the day,
kids.
we never said that.
Oh,
I never said I'd eat somebody's kids.
oh, he was.
That wasn't one of your chirps?
No.
Well, that's a little over the line.
I'm going to fuck your girl, but I ain't going to eat your
Yeah, well,
kids.
he was scary, man. When he did that, I was looking at him, and you see the rage in his eyes. Like he was serious. He was.
No,
gonna,
I mean, you
he
thought
was going to hurt
wait,
somebody.
I know we're like one of those cuckoo birds, like when they go off. I wouldn't have really ate Lemieux's kids, but I was trying to decapitate him.
Oh, you could see it in the video. So yeah, you get to witness a lot of crazy things being that close to the action, and yeah, it's an interesting thing. But guys like Mark had laid the groundwork for all those photo holes being cut what they were, the strobe system, which I had no clue about. He taught me all about that. You know, the spot between the benches and, you know, how to shoot sometimes, you know, fill the frame, you know, get the eyeballs, stuff like that. Little things like that that he taught me.
So the intricacies like you would pass down because of stuff that you learned along the way, because mostly the stuff that you learned, self-taught, right?
All self-taught. You know, the way you look at it, the way I looked at it is everybody that's a Red Wing fan wants to take your job. You know, you got the dream job. You're the team photographer. You get to travel with the team, know all the guys, take pictures, you know. So you got to work hard. I mean, you got to work really hard at it, and you got to come up with a good photo, and then you got to get along with everybody.
Right. Well, I think that's the biggest thing is you got to be able to play politics. You know, you got to be able to and I think it's, you know, it goes back to what I realized when I preach here, Grind Time with Darren McCarty, or not preach, just what has worked. It's communication, right? So it's not feeling somebody like trying to be something you're not, but you know your capabilities. Was that something, especially because of the, you know, it's almost like different eras. Right, where Hicksy and I, it's the
for sure.
the old school game I played, and he shot with the roll of film and had to go in the dark room. And I know it was by the refs room, right?
Yeah,
that's right down at the end by the Zamboni, right?
Yep.
Exactly, because I don't know how many times we come in there and there'd be stuff hung or whatever going through and don't really realize the process. Then now the evolution of the game being faster, how to shoot it. I think that do you guys? So do you got, like for me, Rick Tocchet growing up was my guy. When you get into photographers, do you have favorite photographers? Like guys that you like would they be sports photographer guys or the certain eyes? You know, like when you bring up painters, you think, you know, Ansel Adams or a...
Well, yeah, for sure. And if I could chime in there,
Yeah.
When I was, you know, growing up taking pictures, Mark was one of the guys. I'd go to a hockey game, and I would spend more time watching where Mark would be, and more so than the hockey game, because I was always into the photography and like, how does he get the pictures? Because I always see his pictures published and stuff like that. So I followed Mark long before I knew him. So
Shit,
like
we're
I
gonna
said,
have to start hanging out more. I
See,
like
there
that.
you go, dude.
no, I'm just
Shit.
saying. But then, you know, when I got the job, I got to work with like amazing guys, which Mark knows, like Julian Gonzalez, Dave Goralnik with the Detroit News,
Yeah.
Dave Klutho. You know, these are amazing photographers, and you kind of become buddies, and you're all kind of like on a team together.
Right.
You all share ideas. You know, if someone's camera equipment goes down, or if they got to borrow a lens, hey man, you know, my stuff's your stuff. You can I always share my stuff, and they would with me. If I had something go down, or I need some help, or I need to borrow a transmitter to someone going around with my lights or whatever, those guys are always there to help or give ideas. And so yeah, you learn from everybody.
I think that's so important. And then that's the sort of, you know, we all have the sort of a role or whatever it is to figure it out. But that's you know, it's such a great point of, and that's why we won. And that's what, you know, Scotty instilled, but the culture that we talk about. And that's why I want people to understand that when you enter that rink, or when you turn on your TV, or when you turn on your radio, and you're just as invested as the rest of us. If the photographers or the alumni, or if we're all the fans or this aren't operating together, you know, like in a win-win for the benefit of the goal, then it just doesn't work, and it doesn't matter, because it's all those pictures. I mean, and I know these are things that I would have never, ever thought of, right? As a player, you're in this bubble, you're in this zone, and you know,
That's where you're supposed to be.
we see the pictures and go, oh, yeah.
Right.
But it's 22 years later since Mark Hicks shot this famous photo.
And it's an iconic picture.
And it just is. And my favorite is because, like, I have this is 3 of 4, I believe.
Right.
Like, there's a 4, then I have the 4 of it. This is photo 3, and then to see everything and just the way it played out and everybody else. But that's almost even more unbelievable.
Well, you know what makes
for
this
you to
picture-
break it down that you had to be ready. Like, so let's while we're having trouble getting a hold of TJ Lang right now, but while we do that, let's go into this, Mark, because can you remember preparing for that game? Because I always break it down and talk about it as we didn't say anything, and it was sort of like had to let it happen because we had to win the game. But but there was going to be something that happened, and everybody knew something was going to happen. didn't know what it was. So do you set up differently to make sure you don't miss?
Well, there's like 8 spots that are really cherry spots to shoot photos from, and holes are cut in the glass, and they're right on the goal line, and then the next row of stairs coming down up from the goal line, like at the face-off dots. So if you're down in the left end and all the dancing's going down on the right end, you're a spectator, you don't see shit. So the tension was pretty high coming into the building. And then a guy walked by me coming in and said, "Hicksy, keep your cameras ready." That was you. So I said, all right.
Wow.
All right. I said, that's the way we're going to roll. Okay, I'm down with that.
Wow. I might have said something like that to Hicksy. You might not want him. This might not want to miss this one.
So
I might have said, no, I did say that.
Right.
And honestly, bro, I didn't even think it'd be like this good. I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, your work is phenomenal. My work is phenomenal. 2 phenomenal guys at the top of their game, and hence Turtle
But
Bash.
you know what makes this picture so special? If you look at the picture, it's a good shot. You know, people are not really moving, and it's kind of like shooting a duck. It's sitting there in the water. It's not moving. You try and get a guy taking a slap shot and get that bend in the stick, that's a little different.
Right.
The story about that picture is the reason that picture is so iconic is because of what happened. That fight happened. It was a payback, and then the rest of the game, and then the rest of the season, and then the Stanley Cup, and that was the turning point for me as a fan at the time.
Yeah.
That was the turning point. That picture is $1 million picture for that reason. That's in my opinion.
And for me, it's like that is the picture, but it's the fact that we won the game because it's the same thing. It's the proverbial at the end of that game. And I say Red Wing Nation everywhere in the world.
But that game gave you guys the confidence.
Right, because it's a proverbial, everything's going to be all right. I don't know what it means, but everything's going to be all right.
Yep.
And it not us, just us, but everybody. And that's the same sort of thing when Stevie got announced as a GM.
Yeah,
I was
right.
there at the press conference. I had the same feeling as I did after that game, like, okay, we're going in the right direction. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know what it means, but this is right.
But as a photographer, I'm still waiting for that iconic shot, and I'm hoping that before I'm done, I hope that I get an opportunity to make an image like that has a story that goes with it, that just is...
Yeah, but you got a great... Let's talk about because this is a great story that you have to hear, is because sometimes your greatest shots or ones that you collect along the way aren't the ones that you're trying to make. And what I'm talking about is, you've told me what's your most famous shot that you got, and
It's the Jim Thome 600th home run.
Jim told me 600 home run at Comerica Park.
Yep, on August 15th, I think it was, 2016.
But the best thing about it is you're the only one that got it.
Yeah.
And, dude, it was like your second. You don't shoot baseball. Tell the story that you told me, please.
Well, I got to the game late. I was doing my day job at the time, so I didn't really do my homework. And, you know, as a photographer, you try and do your homework so you know what you're shooting. And like you said, when Mark came to the game that day with you guys, you knew there was something going to go down. Well, what and where? You just try and plan the best you can. So I got the baseball game late, didn't do my homework, didn't realize he was 2 home runs away from 600, which was only 8 guys in Major League Baseball history to hit 600 home runs.
Yeah, big
and the
deal.
only guy to do it quicker than Jim Thome was Babe Ruth. And that's just crazy.
That's wild.
That's crazy. So there was a play at home plate that happened, you know, the inning or two previous to that, and for whatever reason, my lens didn't track the play. The guy's coming down third baseline, big collision with Avila. They're airborne, and those plays are so hard and few between, you know, to get a shot like that. And there's dirt flying, helmet flying, and the last shot I get's Avila holding the baseball up. Well, that's boring. I mean, they're standing there. It's like, you know, you want to get the action shot. So I was so pissed off. I was ready to pack up my shit and go home. So I grabbed my stuff, and between innings, you can move around. So I moved down to the third base side. Jim Thome was a left swing. So he had already hit one earlier, and I got that one too, but, you know, it was $5.99, no big deal. The 600 was the money shot. So I moved down to the third baseline there, and both home runs were hit to left field. You know, he swings his, you know, a money shot for him would have been right field,
Right.
but he swung late, and I got the ball, you know, coming about this far off his bat, and it was tack sharp.
That's awesome.
And I got it with the first click, and mind you, I'm motor driving. Brrr,
Yeah,
and I
but
got
it was the
with
first one.
click. Yeah.
So is that like this? Is that sort of like when you watch the NHRA dragsters and they pop the light when they hit it right off the .000? It's like the perfect shot. Would you consider that like Like when
Yeah.
you get it on the like that, would that be Hicksy?
Oh, yeah.
That's the perfect. Like, is that what you strive for in the photography
Sure.
business?
And one thing, motor driving gives you that opportunity to do it. On strobes, you don't. You get one crack at it because you got to wait for your lights to recycle. So you get a shot about every second and a half. Where motor driving,
So Hicksy, your shots on those with the strobes.
no, that's not motor drive. That's one shot.
No, this one is. I'm talking about.
Oh, mine shot. Yeah, that was that. I was motor driving, but
It's the first shot.
It's the first shot.
Now I'm talking.
At the
The
Joe,
March 26th.
one
That's
picture,
strobe.
one Mississippi, two Mississippi, picture, one Mississippi.
Wow.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
Guy gets a breakaway.
That's what I'm
You're
trying-
going to get
that's-
one shot.
Yep.
So let's slow down here and break it down to and it doesn't matter what because it's technology and whatever else, but the
Right.
fact of the photo. So I look at it as in '97 where you're taking those photos, but it's like one Mississippi, two Mississippi click. Whereas as opposed to if it was nowadays technology, you would get every little sweat bead between. There'd be 6,000. Yeah, where you could put it on an auto reel and stuff like that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
you
to
get
be
50
able
frames
to,
of it.
so then, again, a lot of it has to do, well, not in that case because you say it was, opportunity, luck. But you had to be. I always preach that you got to when that opportunity arises, you got to be willing. You can't question. You got to be notice that it's coming or it's going to be there, and you can talk about it later. You got to go through it when it's there, and then you'll have time. Because if you're going to break it down, and I'm talking about whatever that is. If it's the Lemieux moment, if it's scoring a goal, the goal, whatever like that, you got to be decisive. And I always say, careful what you wish for because it's got to come and you got to be ready for
So
it.
the funny thing about this picture here, so I get the home run. I did a quick little check on the back of my camera, going, yeah, I got it. That was pretty cool. That's really got a good home run. So I'm not realizing it's a 600 home run. So you get them trotting around the bases, doing the lap. So I get them coming around second base, and I'm clicking third base, and I get them coming in, and all of a sudden, the whole stadium's cheering. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is the other team. Why are they cheering? And then it starts, I'm thinking, well, I better start snapping away because something's important just happened here.
But
and I don't know what it
that's
was.
sort of photographer intuition too. A lot of times that happens. Like,
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, and then the people in the background are holding up signs, Tomy's my homie, and stuff like that. And then I started seeing the 600, and then it started clicking. Like, oh, shit, this was like a major milestone of something, I'm not sure what. So I did, and that's about the only time I think I ever got a email from Getty saying, good job, you nailed it, So that's my iconic
Is
shot.
there any ones that you missed that
No.
you had? Like, no, but like.
Never happened.
Yep,
I love it,
we're
Hicksy.
gonna,
That's
we're gonna
out
stick to
there.
that.
No, but I mean, is there because it's more than, is it like golf?
It's called referees.
Oh,
I was gonna
talk
say,
about it.
that's
Wait,
my
wait.
line. That's my
Wait,
line. That
this
never
is
happened.
Grind
You didn't
Time with
see it.
Darren McCarty.
Yeah.
We can pile drive on Perry's clan all
my
day long.
I was going to say, Mark, that's my line. I didn't see it. It never happened.
Oh my
Here's
God.
the best one.
Wait. So explain to that, because you can out the, this ain't the Lions, and we can talk about
Well,
officiating.
they got a tough job, and I respect them. A lot of those guys are good friends nowadays. But with those holes in the corner, you're right down low, and there's a guy in on a breakaway, and here comes the stripes. Stops right in front of you as you're ready to get the goal. So you say, have I missed a shot? Yeah, probably a couple million.
So that would be number one, right? Would you say
Ref
the
ass.
corner show ref
Yeah,
ass?
ref ass.
Ref ass. So listen, guys, because you never know on the Family Feud, might be a question. What's the most disturbing for an NHL photographer?
Ref ass.
Ref ass. I love it.
Team photos were the scariest for me because you got everybody there. We always did that team picture at the end of the year. There's
I don't
always
get
like the
why they
three
wait
guys
till
that
then.
are ATFs or something. They ain't coming back. So there's always and also on the team, but not pictured, right? So you're figuring out who those guys are, and then everybody's pissed off.
And everybody's hungover, and everybody's fucking.
About half the guys got stitches. Everybody else is brutally hungover.
Gosh, that
And
was-
everybody's going, "Come on, Hicksy, hurry the fuck up!"
So you take about 5 pictures, you give them
We
the thumbs
done?
up, have a great summer, and then you turn around and just pray that
Yeah.
something
That you
turns
got
out.
it.
Like, oh my
I know.
God, I hope nothing went wrong.
Yeah.
You were always Hicksy. You were always I don't know if I always thought it was because of Stevie was always, let's go. But you were always ahead of the game. Not that
That's
you
probably nervous energy.
not that you weren't nervous energy, but it was always like you said, Hicksy, 1, 2, 3, let's go. you know what I mean? Go. You
You know, the toughest thing about our job that I see in all the sports photographers is we kind of exist in this weird space between the team and like the media.
Right. That's
We're
why you're
viewed
the
as media,
invisible.
but you know, like in when we lost to Toronto, you know, and Borishevsky hit
Yeah.
that overtime goal in. I went in the locker room, and the locker room was empty. And then I went out, and guys were all under the bleachers and stuff. Like, nobody... And then you question yourself, like, is it my responsibility to take this picture? You know, you're really there to capture the history of the team. I'm looking at all these iconic Terry Sawchuk and pictures that were taken back in the 50s. I'm thinking maybe someday my picture will be on that wall. That'd be nice. But New Jersey, you know, we went out in 6. People were busted up. You know, Shep's hand was broke. Bursey was all twisted up. And we went down. Scott Stevens killed our defenseman. We started the game.
Stevens killed Kozlov.
They had a big spot at the end of the benches in New Jersey. So you just sit, and there was no wall dividing it. So you're sitting just right on the bench with the guys. So
Yeah.
in the first game, the national anthem's going off, and Scott Stevens hollering at Coffee and Slava Fetisov, saying, "We're gonna play Kill the Grandpa. We're gonna play Kill the Grandpa." And them guys went out on the ice, and Scott Stevens was a wrecking crew. He hit Slava Kozlov or
Yeah, it was
Paul
Kozlov.
Coffey so hard.
No, it was Kozlov through the middle.
Kozlov,
1-on-1.
Yeah.
he came back and laid down on the carpet going into the locker room. And remember, and they came and got Manatsakanov because they said he wasn't speaking English no more. Stevens knocked the fucking English out of him. That's a check.
Hey, you know what we needed back then that we didn't have, which I would have given to Kazi and that miserable grumpy bastard Perry? Herbalactive.com. Herbalactive, URBALACTIV.com. Yeah, no E on it. With the code DMAC25, that is your THC-free CBD. What is THC-free CBD? Well, in layman's terms, the cannabinoids that interact with CBD and THC is like you're on the list to get into the club. Boom, right in. Your body, your endocannabinoid system recognize that. With the THC free, well, you don't have any hookups and you're going to have to wait in line. It'll work, just take a little bit longer. Thanks to Rich Summers and our friends at Herbal Active for making everything happen. Go to herbalactive.com, use DMAC25, whatever you need. So,
To kind of finish that thought, though,
Yeah.
it's always tough whether you should take that photo or not, because we're kind of
yeah,
included.
but don't you always take the photo and then...
Well,
and
but
then
sometimes you don't. I mean, sometimes you're in the locker
Ask for
room.
forgiveness.
No. Explain to that though. So explain that fine line. So it's better not to have the photo.
You don't know. I mean, for me, that was a tough part of the thing.
So is that a scruples question?
It's still tough for me sometimes too. You see things that happen that you want to take a picture of, but you just got to go with your gut sometimes, you know. And if there happens to be someone around, like the PR guy, that you know you can kind of give them the which Hicksy's used to tell me to do, just kind of give them that look picture, and they'll either go or go ahead take it. Or I'll give you the
that's
no.
a great that's right. If you're gonna be that in between, then that's the thing is that you're just trying to do the best. So that would be the greatest advice that I would give. Is if you're unsure, look to the person that you're taking it for,
But
right?
sometimes that person's not there. So you just got to use your judgment. Is this a picture they're going to want? If they're going on see, are they going to get pissed if you take it? So it's a tough call sometimes.
So what would you say? How, like Dave, because you've been there now 15 years,
Yeah.
right? So is it more to? Does it come to a point where your comfortability of what you know what I mean? Because I think as the experience as a player, right? Then you've been in so many different situations before. Does it come more naturally, I guess?
Well, I think knowing the players, you know, if you know the players, you know who they are. You know, I remember the first time in the locker room was the New Year's Eve game. It was against the Atlanta Thrashers. Donnie Waddell was a general manager. It was they were giving both sets of jerseys to the NHLPA for the Dan Snyder Fund. It was the Dan Wheatley got in that car accident.
Yeah.
So he was playing for Atlanta at the time. So first time, you know, I got John Hahn calls me and says, "Hey, Dave, in the locker room, get pictures of these guys signing the jerseys." So I do the Atlanta, no big deal. I don't know why I'm just snapping away. I don't really care. Blah, 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 boom. Go into the Red Wing locker room, you know, get malts, drapes, you know, whatever, shanty. I swing over towards Stevie, and boy, he gave me that don't take my picture look. It's like, ooh, I get it. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Don't take
and
my
that
picture.
and that like you said, that's knowing your people.
Yeah, well, I didn't really know him at the time.
No, but I'm
he
saying
gave me that look.
right? But you also knew to look for that look from him.
Well, it was pretty obvious.
I understand that, but it's not like, but
I didn't snap the picture.
That's what I'm saying. But
Right.
I mean, you knew enough, being him,
Right.
that that you were looking for because it's better to err on the side of caution.
It's kind of weird because you get access to the locker room, like in between
But
periods.
but that's where it's important to know.
And you don't want to abuse that.
Right.
You don't want to step over that line.
Right.
But I think it's like anything else. And speaking from the players and having great relationships with both of you, it's been because it's always been straightforward on the up and up. I think that the intentions. I think that it comes to if your intentions are pure and are you on my team?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Do I think that?
I mean, you got my back.
Do you have my back
Is
or
that
whatever?
photo going to show up with a beer in my hand
Is it going to show up with something that I shouldn't, or are you going to keep protected? And that speak about that because being around some of the cup parties and different things like that. There has to be. You were talking earlier, so in your book, Red Wings and Stanley.
Yeah, hey Mac, real quick. TJ's going to be on at 8:30.
Okay.
Yeah, he got tied up a little bit, so we're going to have him on after we
Right
talk
on,
to
Barry.
Tyler here. So
Okay, perfect.
Because I know people are asking, want to know, but we will have.
Well,
Tyler
I was
coming
asking
on.
too, so you're better. That saves some death glares across the.
But I wanted to go where you're talking right now with the relationship between the players and photographers. Were there like times you're like, hey, get away from me, I don't want anything around? Or?
Well, there's a difference when you're like and Hixie and Dave brought it up. You're there every day. It's sort of like a beat reporter, so that has to be there every day. You got to be accountable, right? So you can't do, and like you said, I think the best thing about these guys is that, they're self-aware and it's not about them. It's about what they're trying to do. Hixie said it, I had the greatest job. Everybody sort of wanted it. So you built relationships on your own by understanding who was who. And you said it even more. And that's what I was going to ask you because you got it documented here, but it's when you get to know the guys, it's when we win cups and you shoot the family stuff and you shoot all the stuff behind the scenes. Like we were going through the pictures of the 98 plane.
Right.
And then in the dressing room and seeing pictures of, I'm looking at pictures of the Russians, the Russian 5 at the time, and there's Vladdy, and it's less than a year, and you just see him every shot he's drinking out of the cup, and I'm thinking, God, with the brain injury, he's getting shit-faced over here, and but it's not going to hurt anybody, but it was just, but those are the things where I look back now, and there's a great photo you got in there of all us young guys from 95. And Greg Johnson was in there. And we lost him. So we were remarking about all the guys that
It's tough.
have passed away. But like Dave, you were mentioning about shooting in Malibu because I was out. There's a couple. I was out there with Chelly and Kid Rock and stuff.
It's the culture, I got to shoot a Stanley Cup party in Toronto for Jay Woodcroft, and then Chelly was kind enough to take me out to Malibu with him for his party out there. He also took me to Chicago. So the culture was way different out in California. I mean, it was kind of a Hollywood party and all of his friends out there. So it was really cool from that standpoint. For me being a fly on the wall and getting to see Gretzky and Cuba Gooding Jr. and John Cusack and just on and on and on and on. Stallone, there were so many people there. It was just crazy. But, they all appreciated the cup because they're a friend of Chelly's also.
Yeah.
But, you see people walking down the beach and they look over at this, silver thing and like, that's pretty cool. And they just kept walking. We're at Woodcroft's party in Toronto. We were in a party bus. We were stopped at a red light. He just grabs this thing and just gets out in an intersection and people are jamming the brakes. I seen people crying and it's just the culture.
Here's the
was way
question I
different.
propose out there. Here's the question I propose to you guys, right? Because you see how that cup or whatever from somebody from there bringing it back to Toronto. Now, as a Lions fan and for the Leafs fan, if we said the Leafs could win the Stanley Cup as long as we could win the Super Bowl, do you think that we're ready to hand that over, or do you think that most Red Wing fans just want them to suffer and suck no matter what? It's a good question, but which way would you go with that?
Hixie?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Here, watch. Hey,
Way
watch.
to dump
wait,
that one, Dave.
Wait, hey, Dave.
Hey, I'll
no,
chime in.
Hixie. Hold on. I'll show you how it's done here. Perry, what's your answer?
I wasn't listening. I missed it.
Do you allow Toronto to win the Stanley Cup if the Lions win the Super Bowl? Or is it no for like you're stuck on the Lions, being the Lions, but Toronto not winning ever a cup?
Leafs won the cup, so it's been a long time. But I'm the Lions. Got to.
I know the fucking Leafs won the cup in the
So, no, I don't want 'em to win
60s,
it.
Bill
No, I don't want 'em to
Barilko.
win it.
But I'm offering them to win, Toronto, for us Lions to win. So you're saying that it wouldn't be enough to give?
The tougher question would be if it's Toronto or the Red Wings win the cup versus
No.
the Lions.
If
I
Toronto
don't
wins the
give a
cup
shit
and then the
about
Lions win the
Toronto.
ball,
See, here's the thing.
I'll let the Lions-
But that's what I'm saying, because here's the bet. Because it used to be who's going to win, the Red Wings or the Maple Leafs in my family, and then I had to bring the goal home to bring the cup back. And blah, 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 blah.
and everybody wondered that question too back then.
But now, right? Exactly. I'm just saying is that do you lay off the gas and give them a little bit more? I mean,
I vote for the
I'm
Lions.
just saying you go for the Lions. See,
Yeah,
I would
I'm
go for the Lions.
62. I'm going to be
but I'm
dead in
selfish.
15
That's
years.
what I mean.
I have 4 cups.
I like to see them
right.
win one.
I could see the Red because the Wings are going to fight their way and get back there. But I'd like to see the Lions. I think everybody else. I was just thinking about it. As
I would
here.
like to see the Leafs. I just don't think with the current.
You would like to see the Leafs.
Eventually, but not with this
eventually.
group there right now.
I have a lot of friends over
So
there.
it's the group.
Yes.
So you don't like Babs or Shanny? Who don't you like? Or Kyle
head coach,
Dumas?
the coach.
Oh, you don't like the coach?
No, I just don't think he's a good fit for them.
Okay. All right. Perry Vellucci from the refs room. Hey, guys, in case you were just wondering, check it out. Yep. Miracle Flow. You know, the only hair care product for guys with majestic flow and those who want it. Miracle Flow is specially formulated for athletes with longer hair to help rejuvenate the flow after the beating it takes in your sweaty helmet. Miracle Flow makes products for guys with flow by guys with flow. Our shampoo is used by NHL, MLB, Major League Lacrosse, NFL, and Division I athletes and more. Remember, Miracle Flow, it's not just a hairstyle, it's a lifestyle. MiracleFlow.com, Miracle Flow on Instagram. Phil, check out sickest mullets ever. And Perry asked earlier, how high am I going? Well, Perry, I'm always high, but I'm going higher up here right now. Exactly. As high as I'm going giraffe balls, baby. That's how high I'm going. Going as high as giraffe balls, Jesus. That's where we're going.
On that note,
That's a good thing. But I'm saying, like,
Coming from Pizza Ass.
I could sacrifice for the Lions, you know, but see, now we can't have Western Eastern Conference Red Wings versus the Leafs.
Right.
You can't. So that's why I'm saying is that, you know, it'll be interesting.
You know, Mac, and like you being a Canadian, but you were growing up just outside the Detroit area, and you were a Wings fan, correct?
American, Perry.
You're American, but you were a Wings fan.
Yes.
Well, us growing up here, we always I liked the Leafs. A lot of guys liked the Leafs too back in the 70s.
That's because it was Hockey Night in Canada. Dude, because the Leafs sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we weren't that good either back then either. So
No. You understand, right, why I'm a Detroit Red Wing fan. It's
No, I
because
get it.
they flew out of Windsor, and my uncle worked at the baggage claim, and I used to get NHL sticks when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. So
Nice.
I was diehard Red Wing, but I had the Tigers.
Oh, man,
I had
that's
Lance, I had Gibby, I had whatever. So, man, I was like Tim Higgins curve when I was 12 years old. I could shelf that thing off the bar and in, nobody's business.
I forgot to grab the picture of you and my son when you were at Redford Ice Arena when you were a rookie. I mean, it's like
Oh, dude, I'd love to get it.
The mullet you had was sick.
That's
man.
what I'm talking about. So next time when whenever
Oh,
around, because
yeah.
I like getting those pictures and
I
then
got
taking
it.
the updated pictures.
Yep.
Yep.
Tyler, you there?
Should be.
Hello, Tyler. Are you there, bud? Tyler, you there?
The handler was switching to him.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know when he's on the line. Thanks, guys.
Can-
Anyway,
can-
so back to
So, Perry, here's one for you. When Gretz was in the league, like about his last year, everybody wanted a picture with Gretz. So he'd line up in the face-off circle, you know, in the linesman, like Danny McCourt. We'd like, you got to get a picture of me and Gretz. Well, if he'd tell you that before the game, you'd kind of forget your shot list during the game. So I look over, and this a long time waiting, and the players are looking at me on the bench, and I'm looking out on the ice still, and then Gretzky finally was like, because they were going, Hicksy. And he was like, Hicksy, because he was right at the face-off dot right in front of the bench. So I took the picture with Danny McCourt, and he threw the puck down, and on goes the game.
So he's
you know?
waiting for you to get the right shot.
Absolutely.
But the guys all wanted a shot with
I
Wayne.
would have never done that.
No.
Yeah. So
Working? I don't know.
Tyler, you there?
This is here.
All right, we got a little technical difficulty here, obviously. What's it go to show you? Guess we're running a little bit blind without McCool, who's at Incubus right now, which you can't really blame him because maybe, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be down there too. So.
Well, Darren, if you talk a little bit about your McCarty Cancer Foundation, what that meant for you. I mean, you did some unbelievable work over, about 10 years, 8 years you had that going?
Yeah, we had it I think we started in 97 after winning the Cup and till probably 2006 or 7 after I left for Calgary. Obviously, my dad passed away in 99. We were able to co-fund between $5 and $6 million for multiple myeloma research. The greatest part about it is my dad said that we wouldn't be able to save him, but we could save somebody's dad. And to this day, now if you get diagnosed with multiple myeloma, they have people that can live 30, 40 years. So, and that's, when I talk about the relationships, and you talk about between players and stuff, like that's why ours goes back even deeper. And you develop that because the pictures and all the support between not only the organization, but it's everybody involved. And that's...
Well, we had that little photo library down there, and our claim to fame was we had a bathroom in there, and it was clean. So your dad came down, and I met him early when you came on board, and we kind of shook hands, and he's a coffee drinker, and he's, what's that smell? And I said, come on in and have a cup. And so from that day on, when he got to the rink, your mom and dad kind of hung their coat in my office. And they were regulars. I mean, for years, they were just in, if we needed help or somebody needed to run a camera lens, your dad was right on it.
And I love it. My mom was, my mom was a hobbyist camera person too, so they would have loved just to be around in Hixie. And it's funny you say that, but I drink black coffee to this day because of my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tyler's on the phone. Tyler, you there, bud?
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, I want to call you Stuart, you skid, but ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce Stuart from Letterkenny, the head of all the skids, Mr. Tyler Johnson, New Westminster, British Columbia, right? That's where you're from, bro?
Yeah, actually, I was born in New Westminster, Royal Columbian, but I grew up in Coquitlam.
Okay, I was born in Burnaby. Me and Joe Sakic. That's why.
I see that.
That's why him and I had such sweet hands.
Yeah. You grew up there, or were you just born there?
No, I was just born there. I actually grew up right across the border from Detroit, over just outside Windsor. So the house I grew up in, give or take 10 minutes for the border, was 40 minutes. So
gotcha. But you
I end up playing at home,
you got
bro.
Burnaby on your resume here.
I do, because you know what? You need to have Burnaby on your resume. And it comes in handy because we got this Donnybrook comic book that's out, and I created a team. They're called Burnaby Blazers, a bunch of pot-smoking lumberjack Canadian hockey players. So you'll be seeing them sometime soon, right up your alley. So
unreal.
So I know that obviously we're huge Letterkenny fans here because you guys got that shit nailed top dollar as far as just dude, just the Hicks, the Skids, the fucking Shoresy, fucking like the chirping. The one thing, can you explain to the audience, how does Tyler Johnson become Stuart?
Well, it goes about 9 or 10 years back. Jared Kiso and I, the creator, the writer, who also plays Wayne, we call him the franchise.
Love it.
He and I did a miniseries together here in Canada called, it was actually based on Don Cherry's life. So it's called The Wrath of Grapes.
Yeah.
And Jared played Don Cherry, and I played younger Don Cherry. So we shot a miniseries together about a decade ago. We became instant friends. At the time, Jared lived in Vancouver here, and we would hang out and, have beers, watch hockey, talk hockey. And then he started making these YouTube videos, told me when it came to a TV show, he wanted to get me involved. I didn't realize at the time that I'd be the long black-haired, meth-smoking, black nail polish addition to the squad. But, you know your role, and you fit in where you can get in.
Well, it's fucking brilliance, dude, because that's exactly the way. No, but that's brilliance. Oh, okay, what role do I have to play? Because here's the one thing that I notice is because it doesn't matter what scenes you guys are doing or who's involved. It's that quick wit like the spiels back and forth, even when you're doing the rev, you know, and Wayne does the A's, the B's, the C's. I talked to Dylan Playfair about doing, you know, all the different stuff, and I've seen interviews like that. That's something you can't teach. That has history. Was that something that you guys just know what you do?
You should hear us when we get together, when we're offset, having beers. It's like a whole other language. We just take a joke and we drive it into the ground, and then we drive it further into the ground, and we drive it further into the ground until we don't even really know what we're talking about anymore. It's just kind of how we talk, and it's just sort of a way of life for us. And, you know, when I grew up playing hockey, and I'm a pretty small guy. I'm, 5'8" on the resume, but I'm probably 5'7", 5'7 and a half. So I was a pretty shifty hockey player, but I used to chirp my way in and out of conflict all the time. So we've all got a background in chirping, and it's kind of nice to get to let it fly on Letterkenny, that's for sure.
Well, and it's brilliant because I can just see you guys doing that. Now I know, and you got to explain this to me. Your favorite term, it has been out there, well documented, is tilly dilly, right? You do like the term
Tilly time.
Right?
Tilly time.
Tilly time? Oh, I like Tilly time. See, Perry, my co-host.
It's Tilly time.
See, that makes sense. Perry told me Tilly Dilly, and I'm like, what the fuck is a Tilly Dilly? But Tilly time, no, that makes sense.
I think if I'm asking for a Tilly Dilly, I think I might be in trouble.
Well, dude, then you're really into Stewart's character, and that meth habit is really taking over. If you're going for a Tilly Dilly.
That sounds like something he would say, you know? And then every character looks at him like, what the hell is he talking about?
So if you said you come from the hockey player and obviously, you know, creating and because, you know, to explain skids, yeah, we all had skids growing up. It's just like that, like you said, it's a hardcore stoner. It's the fucking goth kids before they were called goth kids. It's the fucking, the ones that are out there. Did you have somebody that you went to school with, or did you have somebody that you based Stewart on?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, we had a bunch of those kids growing up too, and they'd be out in the smoke pit, but they were also like the artistic kids. Like I did plays and stuff in high school.
So did I, dude.
You know, some of the skid characters. Oh, right on.
Yeah,
no
dude.
way.
Absolutely.
Yes, some of the skid characters found themselves, you know, in the drama room because most people were accepted there. You can't really be an outcast in the drama room, and at least in my high school. So. There was some skid characters that I was able to relate to. You know, the ones who wore like long socks on their hands and cut the fingers out and wore like 7 or 8 bracelets per wrist, and you know, like
you forgot to make it nylon, bro. You forgot to make that wrist thing nylon. Up
See,
your
there
arm.
you go. Yeah, fishnets and boots that are too big for them. So we all had some skids that we knew in our life. Not all of them were as conniving and like originally evil as I think the skids on our show, but they certainly warmed up a lot.
I love it.
Warmed up a lot,
dude. I love it though. It's you know something that you know you really notice is it's so Canadian. You know, even all the scenes that you pull up, and you know the from the simple ones, you know, from tossing the ball around and talking about ketchup chips and malt vinegar on the table. Yeah. Like that's the whole thing. Is you guys nail it now. You guys just finished or are shooting season 8? Or about you?
Season 7 just came out. We have some more episodes that we've shot. So and we plan to go back for more episodes. So there's a whole bunch of Letterkenny episodes to come.
Oh, I love it, dude. How can my Grind Time audience get to know Tyler Johnson better?
Well, I have, all the social medias except for Facebook because someone hacked my profile and I never got that back. So,
you're a star, kid. I had mine
Instagram.
too.
You've had yours hacked?
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, but I'm not the one now.
Gone.
Yeah,
just gone forever.
Hey, that was Tilly time right there. If I find that asshole, it's Tilly time.
Yeah, exactly. So I got Instagram and I have Twitter, and my Instagram and Twitter handle are Tyler JB Johnston, and that's JOHNSTON. I'm all over those, Twitter and Instagram. I love keeping in touch with people. And I often have to remind myself when I get comments on my posts that, they're chirping the character or they're chirping part of the show and they're not just chirping me directly. Sometimes I'll get comments, they'll call me 10-ply or they'll call me soft as shit or like whatever the chirps are of the day. I'm like, no, they're talking about Stewart. They're not talking about Tyler.
And that's the thing, because it's crazy because you know what, you guys have created something there, and you have to see, obviously, because you're filming more episodes and obviously being on Crave and Hulu and stuff like that. But has there been what's the biggest difference maybe you noticed from when you began the show to where it is now?
It's been pretty amazing, we did 6 episodes about 4 years ago, and it was on a new streaming service called Crave TV, which is now Crave Canada. And, we all had high hopes, but you never really know what a show is going to be until it's received. And it was received really well here in Canada. And, for it to grow the way it's grown and now in America as well. And our first season just came out in Australia 2 days ago. Our first 2 seasons came out in Australia. So it's just continuing to grow, and it's kind of fun to just be along for the ride. I was actually out in Vancouver today, and some guy was working at one of the shops, and I went in to buy a hat, and he goes, "Hey, buddy, I got to say, I just love you on Letterkenny. You nail it." And I'm like, thanks, pal. And he's like, "I'm actually on season 6 right now, and you're selling GHB in a club in Toronto." It's such a funny thing. I actually got stopped at the border one time by a border agent going into America, and he actually recognized me from the show. And he was trying to remember what my character did, and he goes, "Your character sells drugs, right?" And I'm like, yeah, my character does.
That's Stuart. My name's Tyler.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, is he trying to get me entrapped here? But the cool thing with the fans is everyone's on board, and as much fun as we make of everybody, we're never really that mean, It's
no,
absolutely. We're trying to cut too deep.
You only make fun of each other.
Chirps.
You only make fun of each other, and it's like the characters, and that's the beauty of it, is the chirps are brilliant. I wish I was still playing for some of these chirps that I would use on the ice. Speaking of that, do you still skate?
I do, yeah. I had this. Recently, I had to put on some weight, and so I was trying to stay off skates just so I didn't fall into the boards and mess my body up. But I'm actually planning on going skating next week for the first time in about 4 months here. So we'll see how my lungs react. But
I know that.
Growing up until a couple of years ago, I played hockey once a week, and a group of buddies go out and play roller hockey too. So we're we try and get out as often as we can.
Are the Canucks your team?
Yeah, I was just going to ask him that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, went to the game last night, actually. Against
laid a beating on us, kid. Absolutely pushed our poop in.
Yeah.
It was just gross. It was just...
Wings had a great start there.
You jail sexed us in Vancouver. Hey, you know what? If it wasn't 2019, I would have accused everybody of being at the Roxy last night, but I know that's not true. In this one. What about things, any other?
It still happens.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's good, as it should. That's old-time hockey. When you have 3 teams in that bar at midnight, that's old-time hockey.
Oh, my God. And 2 of them are playing tomorrow. Yeah.
Absolutely, even better. Other than Letterkenny, you got any things you're working on right now, or any other places people can check you out?
Yeah, well, I've got this. I've recently acquired an option to a local book here in Vancouver. So me and a business partner are hoping to turn that into a mini-series in the next couple of years.
Oh, right on.
So I have no news to report on that, but it's an exciting development that we're hoping to push through. And the book is called Last Gang in Town. So
cool. Well,
it's based here in the 70s in Vancouver, and we'll see where we can take it.
Sounds awesome, bro. Well, you know that I really appreciate your time, Tyler. Tell Dylan and Jared and the rest of the boys that we said hi here. Anything we can do at Grind Time with Darren McCarty, you let us know.
You got
and
it,
we'll keep cheering you on until I look forward to meeting you face to face down the road, bro.
Hey, we appreciate your support, and I got to say, as a hockey fan, it was a pleasure watching you play. The last couple decades here, you were a hell of a warrior out there, and And I'm actually looking at a picture of you raising the Stanley Cup right now. So
love
fucking
it.
A to you. And
Fucking A.
pleasure chatting.
Fucking A to you, Stewie. I love it. All right,
Pitter
guys.
patter, get her done.
Pitter patter, get her done. It's Tilly time.
Hey, guys, take care.
All
eh?
right, you too. That's Tyler
Thanks,
Johnson.
Tyler.
Stewart from Letterkenny leaving us for Tilly time. Way to go, Perry. That was fun. That's a great, yeah. And great, you guys get a chance. And Dave, you hadn't seen it. You've seen clips of Letterkenny before. We played a few clips in there.
Oh, that's hilarious. You got me hooked. I'm going to be definitely checking those guys out. That was hilarious.
It's funny as heck.
Oh,
And
my
you can
God.
tell, it's nice to hear you see what great kids they are. And you
Yeah.
can tell they're hockey kids. Like all these that are hockey kids, because the mentality to every one of them is just one of the guys. And
The chirps are priceless.
oh, they're top-notch chirps.
Top-notch chirps. Like I said, if you had seen this show when you were
Oh
playing,
my God, I would.
you wouldn't have to fight as much.
Well, I still would have wanted to.
Well, yeah, but they wouldn't have fought you because you'd killed them on the chirps.
Oh, exactly. You bury them in the chirps sometimes, and that doesn't matter. Yeah, that's a good. As we're waiting here for TJ Lang to come in, let me tell you this. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or simply making a move, give yourself a distinctive advantage in this fiercely competitive market and put a winning team behind you. The Jeffrey Group of America Integrity and Rhonda Monet of Gold Star Mortgage join forces to make sure you land your dream home. Yes, that's my Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. Their passion for going the extra mile shows from the first phone call to the day you're handed the keys. They've taken an incredibly complex process and made it simple and transparent. Call Jeffrey Kavanaugh at 734-306-9027 today and take the first step to your new front door. Gold Star Mortgage is an equal opportunity lender, NMLS number 3446. TJ, you there, brah?
I'm here, man.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. The Eastern Michigan Eagle grad, Super Bowl champion, former Detroit Lion, TJ Lang, friend of the program. Thanks for joining me, bud. I got to talk to you about a guy who's been in those on the front line. What do you make? Give it to me. Give it to me straight as a former player and as an offensive lineman about the officiating with the Lions the other day, and about. I'm hoping you can talk to me as an offensive lineman about the calls that were made against Trey Flowers, or just your input for my listeners from a guy that was right in there.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, starting with the line play and with the refs, I think this goes back to when I was a guy in Green Bay. We had an O-line coach who, before the game, he'd always talk to the refs, and you kind of butter them up a little bit, and you try to make them feel like there's a little bit of a personal relationship going on. I didn't really get it at first, but the older I got in the league, the more I started to do it, and you definitely notice that it changes the way some guys may call a game, because it actually happened with the guy who was reffing the Monday night game, who was the umpire, Jeff Rice. He's been around the league a long time, and I spent a lot of time with him in training camps and talking to him at games. You start to form a little bit of a relationship with these guys, because you don't want them to feel like, they're just getting MF'd out there the whole game and getting treated like shit.
Right,
because so it's a developer.
Do refs take a beating verbally, or linesmen, or guys like that, or would they throw a flag for swearing at them and stuff, or do they take a lot more than we know?
Yeah, I mean, some of them do, some of them don't. I think some of the older guys who have been around a long time, they're more lenient on, letting you speak your mind, and a lot like from I see with hockey, they'll give it back to you most of the time too.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a couple. I think everybody runs into a situation where you get called for a flag, and obviously you disagree with it. But I think the biggest thing is, they're probably only going to flag you if you're really, going at them and you're just continuing with the profanity. I think that's something they're trying to cut out. But most of the guys, if you just have a conversation with them, I can remember almost every time I got a holding call, I'd turn around after the next time out and I'd look at the ref and I'd be like, hey, what'd you see there? And he'd kind of tell me, thought you had your hands outside, blah, 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 feet here. And I'd say, okay, thanks. I'll get it fixed. And that was pretty much it, because that helps me out with a lot, because I've honestly had more times where a ref came to me during a game and said, hey, Lang, that's close, buddy, clean it up a little bit, where I probably got the benefit of the doubt because I was just like a nice guy to those guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If
right.
you're out there and you're out there screaming at them from play one, the first mistake you make, you expect a flag. It's just how it works. I think it's just human nature.
That's the same thing in hockey. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's pretty, yeah. It's probably the same thing. You just want those guys just wanted to be treated, you know, with respect. And yeah, they'll do some things wrong, but at the end of the day, you know, they're people too. They're humans. I mean, they're not computers out there getting everything right. And I think people don't want that, but at the same time, you got to treat them with a little respect. And I think it goes a long way because you will get a benefit of the doubt sooner or later, where a guy maybe lets you off with a warning. Instead of maybe throwing the flag on you the first or second time. So I think it's a big thing. And I think Jeff Rice, who was the guy Monday umpire and who ended up calling those flags, he's kind of a pro O-line guy. You know, I think just my experience with him throughout the years, I think he's a guy that I know for a fact I've gone to and I said, hey, Jeff, these guys are, you know, they're yanking me down by my face mask, or the guy's up in my helmet, or he's grabbing me, he's doing something this, and he'll end up watching it. And more times than not, I would end up, you know, getting a call late in the game because he finally sees it, you know. And it's a tough job, man. I mean, those guys are watching so many different things at the snap of the ball and whatnot. But I think there is a definite real part of the game where if you talk to the refs pregame, or if you talk to them during a timeout and maybe just chit-chat with them a little bit, I think that makes a difference. You know, later in the game when there's a call, they might not call it, or they might call it, you know, depending on how you treat them. And I heard, you know, some of the interviews that, you know, Bakhtiari, the left tackle for Green Bay, was giving out the past couple of days, and he was saying that basically everything I just told you about.
Right. No,
you know,
that's a veteran guy. That guy's been in the league, and he's a Pro Bowler, and you know that's using to an advantage. My only thing is the problem I have is because he made the two calls, and I would have thought, you know, in the NHL, right, when you have two guys, like I would have thought that a Bakhtiari and a Trey Flowers are sort of tenured the same. You know what I mean? So, like, when you have two guys like that, it's not like a rookie guy and a tenured guy where it's easier to make the call. It's frustrating. Now, like, what I think, because you're fresh right out of that locker room and stuff, where do the Lions go moving forward into Sunday? What's the mindset? Because when you're going to break it down, obviously 5 field goals and not punching it in as many times, like you can't blame it on the refs, you know, you can say for what it is, but they got to be better in certain spots. What do they take positively moving forward, and what do you expect on Sunday against Minnesota?
Yeah, you know, I think you nailed it. I think it's interesting now because I obviously have two different, you know, point of views from the thing. One as a former player and one just as a fan watching it. And I think,
well, you have two too, as a Lion and a Packer. That's
right.
I mean, that's why that's the whole thing. Is like and because you know both sides. I mean that's Bakhtiari is like one of you played with him, correct?
Yeah.
So I mean,
a bunch of guys on those.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's for me. Like I got to go tomorrow night. Calgary's playing Detroit, or Detroit's playing Calgary, but I don't have that dog in the fight for Calgary. Like it's always been back to Detroit, but I could understand if they go deep in the playoffs or something like that. And the fact that you know the guys, it just seems like weird because you were just there, right?
Yeah, and that's ultimately what it came down to for me was just I ended up catching myself during the game rooting more for the Lions just because of the kind of way the game went, you know, with the bad calls and the non-calls and whatever it was. I wanted to see them for once just kind of show everybody that they've turned the corner and they can overcome it and they can come back and they can win these close games. That's what I was kind of rooting for, along with all those guys staying healthy as well. But, you know, I think what the big thing is, like, yeah, you said you can't blame the refs, but the one thing that I keep hearing is, you know, just score touchdowns. Just score touchdowns in the red zone. Just go do this. Just go. Like, it's so easy and so simple.
Right.
I mean, you're a team on the road Monday night playing against a top 3 defense. I mean, it's pretty. You know how it is, man. You're going to get in these dogfights where it's going to be the goal in every game is make more plays than the other team, right? I don't care if it's a 3-0 game. I don't care if it's 60-59. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, a win's a win. And the biggest thing is to go out there and make, ultimately, at the end of the day, make more plays. And what I came away with watching that game, it felt like the Lions made more plays, and it felt like there were probably 3 or 4 really big plays that they made that ultimately the officials took away from them. I don't think you can ignore that. That being said, yeah, I think this is a group of guys, and obviously being in that position before, right after the game, you're pissed, right? Because everybody's texting you, you're getting on social media, you're watching all these highlights, you're watching the replays for the first time, and you're seeing what everybody else is seeing, and you're just like, wow, how the hell did that happen? How did we get screwed so bad? Once those emotions start to kind of wear off, I think it really comes down to you just being a professional. So you start to point the thumb a little bit more, because I know that's a group of guys that, they rolled in yesterday, watched the film, they kind of went over it, and I guarantee you there were probably more guys in that locker room and in that meeting room that were probably pissed about something they could have done better outside of than the penalties. I think those are guys, especially being in the old line room. I've been a part of games like that, where it's low scoring and you get gypped at the end. And the biggest thing is like, well, shit, maybe, if I didn't miss that block in the second quarter, we could have got a touchdown instead of like those are those are the things you start to focus on a little bit more. And I know those are the type of guys that they are. I don't think this thing's going to linger. I think it's probably in their minds and in that building, that game's over. There's nothing you can do about it, no matter how many apologies you get from the NFL and the referees saying, we missed the calls. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change the outcome. You're not going to go line up with 10 minutes on the board and replay that third down. So you just got to get over it. I think, that's the one thing that, we discussed a few weeks ago was Patricia too, man. He's going to get those guys ready to go. I think if anything, it's going to back them into an early season corner where you went from first in the division to kind of last, and you got 11 games left. It sounds like a lot. It's really not. And I think you got another division game coming up. I think they're going to be ready, man. I think this is a totally different team than what we've seen in the past, where one thing goes wrong, you just kind of lay down. It starts to build on each other and just snowball out of control. I think they're going to get back on page this week.
TJ, that's what I think is what you said earlier, is that how the Lions made all those big plays. And I think that's what the fans saw, and I think that's why the fans are so frustrated, is because they saw how well the Lions played and the plays that they were making. And I think they just feel like they were just robbed because of how well they played, and that they deserved it, even though they didn't put it in the end zone every time. But they still made the plays they needed to do.
Yeah, they made a lot of big plays. I don't think anybody expected them to roll into Green Bay and score 3 points. I know I certainly didn't. If you watch the way they've been playing and watch the Packers and their defense and how they've just been absolutely dominating team. I didn't expect that. I knew it was going to be a dogfight. At the end of the day, like you said, it's not so much about, we won, but we only scored 17 points. No, hell no. You went in there and you won. You make a statement, you get out of there with a win. That's the most important thing. And I think that's the one thing where I'm still kind of torn about, is because, you listen to a lot of experts and you listen to people, and everybody's, the calls were bad, but you got people. Yeah, I don't completely blame the ref and how that game ended.
Yeah, give me one. Are you going to be at the game on Sunday?
I will not be there. I'm actually going to a hockey tournament for the little guy up north.
All right. There you go, Dad. Welcome
that journey, man.
Welcome to retirement, bro. I love it. It looks good on you. That's awesome.
Yeah,
but anything you're looking for out of Minnesota or out of Detroit coming off this? Because a lot of times I think that, because look at all this stuff that goes, and I'm just going to relate it to our path with the Red Wings, is that, we had to go through 93, 92, 93, 95, 96, browbeaten and all this other. I think that this could be a statement us against, the world, where, they realize, there's one thing when you're sitting there complaining about it and it's the woe is me, or it's just like, it's sort of like expected and we got to go out and work harder. Is that what I look forward to that Sunday? Am I going to be off, or do you think that's what they're going to bring?
No, I think you nailed it. I think the one thing I'm looking for is you got to limit the kind of boneheaded mistakes. You can't have the 12 men on the field when they're about to kick a field goal and now they get a touchdown. You can't have you can't kick the ball out of bounds on a kickoff and give them the ball at the 40. You know what I mean? Those are things that just they're small, but they add up. You know, when you're sitting there at the end of the game. And I think the one big thing is just coming out strong, you know, come out fast, come out on fire, come out like a team that's freaking, you know, ready to prove everybody wrong. You're still right there in the division. You're a 500 team. It's not like we're sitting here at 0-5 saying, yeah, well, you know, it's had some promise. You know, they got a lot of football left. I think they understand that. I think the biggest thing that could kind of ease everybody's minds and kind of show them that they're a different team this year is you come out at home, you come out on fire, you come out flying, you come out with your, you know, with your hair on fire, and you just come out there and get ready to kick their ass from the first play. I think that will kind of silence a lot of people who are just saying, oh, this is the same old team, because I don't think they are. I know they're not. I think the biggest thing they could do to, you know, get back on the right track is come out that first quarter, come out on fire, man.
All right, bud. I appreciate your time as always. Have fun on that hockey
weekend.
The kids' hockey weekend. I love it, bro. We'll have to get together soon. And as always, I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Good talking to you, man.
You too, buddy. That's
Right.
TJ Lang, Brother Ice, Eastern Michigan, Super Bowl with the Packers and the Detroit Lions. Always great to talk to CJ. Brought to us by TJ, yeah, TJ. Brought to you by TJ Lang. Brought to you this week on Grind Time by our fine folks at MyPillow. They're on board with the Grind Time team. Right now, you can get 2 of MyPillows for the very low price of $69.98, but only if you use the promo code DMAC, D-M-A-C, D-M-A-C, D-M-A-C. Or go to MyPillow.com and pick up a new set of Giza sheets or a MyPillow dog bed. My dogs love theirs. Now I have them because they're gone. Just make sure to use the promo code DMAC when you're checking out. You might want the dog pillow. It's twice as big. And don't forget, I want everybody not to forget my friends at Cattails, because even though we're entering into the cold season, the snow is coming, the weather, maybe Cattails Golf Course, the 18-hole championship track in South Line might not be for you to play outdoors, but they have simulators. So you can go check out, they still have the full bar menu area. You can still, if you want to play in the cold, come on out to the course the Grind Time family plays. Yes, that's Cattails in South Line. Check out our Facebook page for an exclusive offer to Grind Time fans that will get you 18 holes at a cart for $25 during the week if you're a sick, cold weather guy. If not, they got simulators there. So
We'll be there.
yeah, we will. We usually try to get in there every now and then. So
Hey, Matt, can I ask these guys a question?
no.
Thank you.
Attaboy, easy.
If you,
Please,
I know. Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen,
Touche.
before I let you go, here's the Perry Vellucci questions of the night.
Well, for our 2 Red Wing photographer friends, thanks for coming on, Mark and Dave. Would you ever imagine him doing something like this, having his own podcast or a talk show, or when you were shooting and seeing him in the locker room and all the characters and.
I think as long as I've known Darren, he's always had a lot to say. I don't know if I ever looked far enough down the road to see this structure. I mean, this is a great place, nice setup here, pretty awesome little studio. And so I think it's good for him, actually.
Another venue for him.
Yeah, it's kind of the world, there's no more back pressure, that's the release valves, kind of the world according to, and everybody's got their own views, so he just gets a great way. And he's a legendary hero in Detroit. You talked about that game on the 26th. He kind of single-handedly took that game over in my eyes, anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that was a changing point, a rallying point for the next 5-10 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, we went through about 4 years. Everybody, you're going to win the cup. It's guaranteed. It's a cakewalk.
It's a matter of time. Yeah.
Pretty soon, then after the Vladdy accident, that change took a lot of wind out of everybody's sail. Unbelievably tragic that day in the history of the Red Wings. So that was a bad day.
Yeah, but it's unbelievable the way that it worked out to be able to win that year, and then to this point, have you seen the Russian Five?
Yeah.
Huh. Like that just brings you right back, and
Oh man,
pour everybody out there.
Shed
to
a
see
tear. I did.
It's the emotions.
Oh, it's I can
especially when you lived it, you know.
Yeah,
And that's the whole thing for people that I implore them to watch it, because to me it puts for all of us that little hug on the end, just because I saw Vladdy, singing "We Are the Champions" at the premiere and watching it and recognizing everybody, and that that's the blessing or the bow tie in such a tragic event that happened. So, Mark, as always, thank you for taking that photo and helping me out with whatever, whether it's from the foundation to what we're doing
People ask
nowadays.
me in my line stand, and I'm sticking to it. That's my story. Is that it's an average photo of a fucking great moment.
Ah, there you go.
You know, really the composition
great
of the photo and the
description.
color exposure and all that. You know, somebody else holding that camera at that spot, that place would have got about the same picture. But it's a fantastic moment.
But the
History of
fact
this
that
town.
I want everybody to realize, to get that photo back, that like today it's with technology and stuff, you're supposed to, if you don't get it. So that's what makes it even more imperative. And Dave, continued. Thank you for everything, making me look good doing the photos on the side and everything else. But I wanted to
And you did good.
I want to make sure, you make it clean up real good. But happy 39th tomorrow to you and Colleen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can't believe she's put up with your shit that long.
Oh, brother, I'm telling you.
Hey, I thought you were a good photographer. You're like a magician.
That's a big deal right there.
Yeah, no doubt. Man,
like it.
I'm lucky that she supports my dreams.
I like it. Well, to my guest, Tyler Johnson, make sure you check out Letterkenny, TJ Lang, Let's Go Lions Sunday afternoon. I will be in Sandusky on Friday. Lowell Saturday. I'm doing Lions pregame show with Tom Mazaway on Sunday at 10 over at Joe's in Southfield. Then we got the hot wing thing with Jay Adams that night. Yeah,
That Sunday night? Oh, I might have to stop in.
Where they interview you and you eat like hot wings and they get hotter and hotter and you're supposed to talk to them. Key and Peele, I saw their one. It was like, I'm going to have to, I said, give me a bucket of
They're going to tear you up.
milk. Oh, good. I might just shit right on the floor. Yeah. That's a great
I
note.
grew some ghost peppers this year. First time I did a garden, I didn't know what a ghost pepper was. My son brought these little plants over, and the hottest pepper in the world in 2007. Now they got these like hybrid Carolina Reapers, and go to YouTube. You want to laugh? Oh my God!
No.
These guys that try
I
to
know.
eat these for like
So
$20.
stupid. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's something Jesus would do.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, Biggie. Thanks for your help. As always, Perry, Hixie, Dave.
Thank you.
Remember, guys, everybody out there, hold on one sec. Let's see. All right. Billy Felser says to say hi to his girls, Carrie Hunt and Sarah Sparks. So there you go. Ladies, thanks for listening. Billy, we'll see you soon. Remember, guys, no matter how many times you fall down, it is your obligation to get back up. It's another Wednesday. That's grind time. We're out.